Oke, bismillah. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. As you know, so today I want to talk about immune system. So, immune system is the second most complex thing in the human body after the human brain, and yet most of us never learn how it works. And or what is it? It consists of hundreds of tiny and two big organs, making hundreds of billions cells organized like an army. There's soldiers, captain, intelligence officers, heavy weapons, and crazy intense suicide bombers. And the topic for today is what happens when your body is invaded and your immune system is engaged to the fight for life and death. Okay? Imagine it's been a normal day when suddenly the sky explodes, an asteroid rips the sky opens, countless aliens life forms invades, ready to destroy civilians, cities, and structures. Or this is what your cells experience. You just look at your bleeding thumbs when you cutting onions and you accidentally cut your finger. You just look at and oh, how annoying. But inside the wound, a horrible catastrophe has happened. There are dead cells, blood, and dirt everywhere. And even worse, the countless bacteria invade the caverns between your wounds. And immediately, wait a minute, sorry, to explore the new home and steal resources and poop everywhere. Immediately, the first defense of your immune system kicks in. The cells that survive the impact are or hurt or dying are screaming, releasing an onslaught of chemical that awaken your immune system. The first immune system that awakens that show up is our macrophages. If an average size of cells size like a human, a macrophage will size as a black rhino. A stoic cell principle that you don't want to annoy it. Bacteria do annoy them, and then the big cells begin to attack and kill them without mercy. Grab them with like a tentacle things and digest them alive. And a macrophages can eat up to 100 bacteria before it gets exhausted, because there are too many enemies. The macrophages need reinforcement. They releasing chemical signals to the bloodstream. In the bloodstreams, the neutrophils pick up their signals. And what is neutrophils? Neutrophils is a crazy, intense suicide killer, bombers. That they only live to kill. They even kill themselves after a few days after their birth. So they don't have a time to accidentally destroy your body from inside. And then when the neutrophils join the battlefield, they begin vomiting deadly chemicals that kills bacteria. They're so careless in their attacks that they causing real damage to your own cells. But the collateral damage is not their concern now. However, the neutrophils go so far to push their suicide buttons, causing white net toxic and made from their DNA that can trap and kill bacteria. While the battle raging on, in the blood, the stream let the fluid flows to the battlefield. You notice this as inflammation. Your thumb swells a little and it becomes red and warm. And the fluid brings the silent killers called the complement system, some sort of proteins that stuns and kill bacteria by ripping its hulls. And then now we are reaching the crossroad. If things goes well, the first line of your defense wipe out the bacteria very quickly. But sometimes the enemies are too strong that would overwhelm your immune system, which means is death for you humans, for us. And it's an hour for dendritic cells. Your intelligence officer, while your immune system bashing heads at defending your body from the bacteria, the dendritic cells collecting samples by ripping it into tiny parts and covering it itself like a soldier's covered by guts of the dead enemies. The cells leave the battlefield and enter your immune system highway, the lymph node. From the battlefield, they searching for helper T cells, which is some sort of your commander cell. It's only happens after all, because there's only one T cells that specifically can kill bacteria that infected you. The dendritic cells rubs the bacterial parts into the every T cells it meets, and then after a few hours something clicks. T cells recognize the bacteria part. The dendritic cells become overjoyed. Okay, hold on. Why your immune system has specific weapons against bacteria that infected you? Well, the fact is your immune system has weapons against every possible enemies in this universe, from the Black Death, coronavirus, or even a disease that will emerge in the future. Okay, back to the topic. The dendritic cells overjoyed and activate the T cells. Like a teenager needs to get up on a school day, very slowly. And then the helper T cells begin to clone itself over and over again. Once becomes 2, 2 becomes 4, until it's thousands of them. And they split into 2 groups. First group move quickly to the battlefield to help the macrophage. Meanwhile, while the battle rages, after fighting a few days, many macrophages is ready to give up, like many body have done already. And then the helper T cells came closer to the macrophages and whisper something using special chemical signals. And the macrophages feel fresh again, and they know what they need to do: kill. They throw themselves once again to the battlefield. While the battle still rages on, the second group, finding for your heavy weapons, is antibodies. Antibodies is it's shaped like Y, but it has a pinch from 2 corners of it, like this way. And then after a day or 2, they finally found the B cells. Similarly to T cells, they begin to clone itself to thousands, and they producing 2,000 antibodies per second. And then after a few weeks, after you bleed, after you accidentally cut yourself, the full force finally arrive, and the antibodies pinch the bacteria, so it becomes stunned and cannot move anywhere. The macrophages quickly move to the helpless, defenseless victims, and the tide turning fast, and finally the bacteria has been wiped out. Well, after the last bacteria has been killed, they realize they no longer need it anymore, so they kill themselves, but not all of them. Some of the T cells and B cells becomes memory cells. The memory cells guarding the tissue for years, making sure the same bacteria never ever land feed on the tissue anymore. And the B cells, memory B cells, is keep producing low amount of antibodies. Okay, so that is the end of the story. I think that's all for me. I'm sorry for my mistake, and I'm sorry too because it's too long for you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.